2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Actual Play.
Hi, guys.
Thanks to everyone that's joining us tonight. It's going to be hopefully a fun and exciting ride. I guess I'll start us off. Hi, my name is Strash. I'll be the GM for this game. The game that you guys are tuning in to watch is Scum and Villainy, which is some space opera goodness set in the Procyon sector. For those of you that don't know, this is a hack of Blades in the Dark, and hopefully we'll have fun space adventures in the vein of something like Firefly or Guardians of the Galaxy. More Guardians of the Galaxy because there's like weird aliens and stuff like that. All right, so one of the things that I'd like to do is just have my cast go through and introduce each other and say a little thing. So for example, hi, I'm Strash. I've been gaming, for a couple decades now. I'm also one of the authors. Me and John LaBeouf Little wrote Scum and Villainy, so hopefully you like it. And if you don't, may your dreams be sweet. I'll be running this game. I've been playing a lot of Blades in the Dark and stuff recently, so I'm not even 100% sure what I'm excited by. I'm excited by Actual Play. It's a channel that Sean and I started, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it grow and hopefully get an audience. So that's me. Who wants to go next?
I can go next.
Awesome.
I'm Jory. Hello. I guess I've been gaming. My brother is a big nerd, so we grew up gaming together, and then I grew up to game as an adult separately. He lives in Minnesota still, and I live in Portland now. So I'm excited because I love space operas. I mean, I feel like I was also raised on Star Trek and Firefly and everything like that. So I'm excited to play a game, especially with these fine folks that I'm playing with. Who, incidentally, I was realizing the other day that although I know you, I have not played games with either of you before, I don't think. I guess
First.
Andy and I played a little bit of Sea Dracula together, very briefly, which was great. So yeah, I'm just stoked to do it.
Very cool. Andy, you want to go next?
Oh no, your mic is off. Maybe?
Oh no, did we fix it?
Yeah, there you go.
It is
You're good.
fixed now. You're good.
Yeah, well, so to repeat myself so that everyone can hear me. Hi, I'm Andy. I have the pleasure of living in Olympia, Washington, which is basically the best place, but you can't come live here, you're not invited. I spend a lot of time helping other people play games and organizing conventions here and there, and it's really nice to actually sit down and play a game, especially with these folks. I'm really excited about making a bunch of really terrible decisions. It's gonna be good.
We'll totally do it together.
Excellent.
I'm Sean. I'm the other half of Actual Play. And Josh and I have been playing a game of Blades in the Dark together for some time now, over a year. And I've been hankering a little bit for not playing such terrible people because our characters are really terrible. And Scum and Villainy is an opportunity to do that in a little ways. And also Space Opera, Firefly, and Guardians of the Galaxy. It's going to be great. I'm so excited about it. So this is going to be the Dungeon World hack of Blades in the Dark. This is going to be the one that everyone wants to play all the time because it's awesome. The best, I think. Say, and I'm super excited to be playing on Actual Play, being here.
Sweet. I'm new to the Blade system, so I will need lots of support, Strash.
No problem at all. I hope to say that it's actually it's not super hard to pick up, and it's actually pretty newbie friendly, but there is a lot of depth to it, which means that building up some system mastery is a good thing, but it's not necessary. Definitely not to start.
Cool.
All right. So for those of you watching, let's one of the things that we did is we talked a little bit offline. We picked some characters and we decided on a ship. So I'm gonna have everybody go through and just give us the briefest overview of their character. Maybe say like your name and your outlaw name, and just like a couple of words about who you are, what your playbook is, and then we'll circle back around because we were actually going to do ship creation on air. So Andy, you're to the right of me in this.
Gorgeous.
So would you like to take us away with
Happily, absolutely. So I have gone to the straightforward, and I'm playing the muscle. And in this case, that's Boz Viridian, who is known as Hazard. And what else am I telling everybody? Let's see. Boz is gonna probably make some really great decisions. I suspect, like really simple decisions. Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Yeah. Well, and Boz is connected with the Cobalt Syndicate, and
There it is.
and
Yeah.
she's got lots of family ties and obligations.
Feels real warm and fuzzy about the family. So
Yeah. All right.
Well, Sean, since you already jumped in, do you want to tell us a
Yeah,
little bit
sure,
about
sure.
Breaks?
Breaks, real name Faye Null. Breaks was not an orphan exactly, but was adopted and didn't really get along too well with her adopted family, and so she was quickly kind of on the streets and in seedy places, and has spent some time in prison with Boz together. They served a little time together after a deal went poorly. Breaks used to fly for the Janus Syndicate, which is a powerful arms dealer, and she doesn't anymore, and that's maybe not so good for her. And we'll find out what Victor, the leader of the Janus Syndicate, thinks of Faye as we play.
Awesome.
Sweet. I am playing Lauren Hex, whose alias is Slick. Lauren is a reporter with the hegemonic news network, or he formerly was, and has found himself in a spot of trouble when he got a little too close to some truths that some people didn't want him to know. So he has very recently fallen in with these two, kind of trying to work his way back into the life of leisure in the kind of inner space. What do we call them? Sectors. Inner sectors.
The core.
In the core worlds. We're a little far out right now, which is not his favorite thing. He kind of had a rough life growing up, was actually an orphan, and then was kind of adopted and raised by some folks, some kind religious folks who are part of the Stellar Flame, the Church of the Stellar Flame. So he's got some religious ties, he's got some education, some hard background, and has recently run into a spot of trouble, and here we are.
Awesome. Cool. So we're going to talk together about ship creation. We're going to go through the steps of that really quick. And one of the things that is part of ship creation is we're going to establish some ties to a couple of factions that you guys have good and bad relationships with, who are going to pop up in our game and cause you trouble and maybe provide jobs, as the case may be. So for everyone on air, step one of ship creation is pick a ship. And we've already done that. We've discussed the different thematic elements of the 3 ships that we have right now. For those of you that have the game already, we are going to be playing with the Stardancer, which you've seen. The other 2 ships, which are coming out soon in version 1.6, are the Cerberus and the Fire Drake, which are bounty hunters and rebels, respectively. But the Stardancer is a couple of bits Firefly and a couple of bits odds and ends and smuggling and blockade running. So hopefully we'll be seeing some of that. All right, cool. Let me find my PDF so that we can go through these steps real quick, and then we'll jump right into play. The first obviously step is choose a ship type, which we've done. The second one is choose a reputation. So your crew is going to have a reputation, both in the criminal underworld and kind of like with anyone that you've worked with. And some of the reputations that are here are ambitious, brutal, daring, honorable, professional, savvy, subtle, or strange. So if any of those speak to you folks, or if you guys have any ideas, and if you have another idea, if you're like, yeah, you know what, we hate all those, we want to pick something else, that's cool too.
I was thinking, given our sort of delicate predicament, that something along the lines of like hungry
ambitious.
Yeah, it would make sense. So when you said ambitious, I was like, that sounds right to me. But I would be up for I don't think I want brutal, but I would be up for a lot of them. But ambitious is the one that rang truest to me initially.
Ambitious makes sense to me too, because it would give Lauren a reason to know who you are. Like if you have a reputation that's like that, he's like, I'm ambitious too. You know, that works.
Fitting with these.
Yeah. Sounds like exactly the right way.
Awesome. Josh, you want me to fill stuff in on the?
Actually, I was already doing it while you folks were talking. You were
Perfect.
ambitious the moment I heard 3 kind of ascents. I was like, all right,
Nice.
all right.
On it.
So the next thing that we're going to talk about is so
Did
each.
I think we lost Andy.
Uh-oh.
We've got a. Yep, I believe we have. We'll get her back in a second. I'm gonna try and catch her over chat. Yep, we did. Oh, and that's gonna make all sorts of things go Bibbly book on the screen. Well, Josh, you want to talk a little bit more about Scum and Villainy as a hack for blades and what the game is about while we get Andy back?
Sure. All right. So so Scum and Villainy is obviously, as we mentioned, space opera. It actually has a lot of references to a lot of genres. It's pastiche, but it also is akin to the fact that Blades in the Dark has a setting kind of inherent in it. There's some like broad strokes that are really strong. Scum and Villainy has the Procyon sector outlined much in the same way that Blades in the Dark has Doskwell as a city. The Procyon sector is a collection of about 4 systems that are interconnected by a gate network. And then past the Ren system, there's a gate that leads towards the heart of the hegemony and the core worlds, where the hegemon sits on a throne somewhere in the center of the galaxy and rules with some presumably iron fist. It's got crazy churches and nobles and space mystics, and it's very much a genre that I prefer to call swords and starships. So that's kind of the pitch here. It's a little bit less dark than Blades in the Dark. Like Blades in the Dark is really about bad people doing bad things. And in particular, you can try and play a good person, but the setting and the system fight you a bit. Scum and Villainy is a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more brightly colored, so it's a lot easier to not necessarily like dig deep down and play really terrible people, but terrible decisions are always encouraged. So, all right, cool. Looks like we have Andy back, so we can get back on the creation track. The next thing that we have to talk about is customizing our ship. So each ship starts with a couple of pre-selected systems, and in particular, the Stardancer starts with, I believe, 2 in hull and 1 in engines, and you guys start with smuggling compartments, cargo hold, and a jump drive. So this is the point in the game where we decide where to put a couple more. We get 2 additional ship systems to improve, or you can choose as one of those systems crew quality, which makes you guys kind of like more beefy, but it'll cost you 2 cred, and your ship only starts with 2 cred. And there's a couple of other choices about faction values that will take cred later, so it's up to you folks if you want to spend it now and get a crew quality, or if you want to save it and maybe use it to like pay some people off, or maybe give some money to people so that you can work with them a little more smoothly. Do you guys want your ship to be fast? Do you want to try and mount some weapons on it? Do you want to try and get some cool comm systems so you have better scanners and communications? What do you feel like? Or do you want to go for crew quality, which is a little bit like tier in Blades, although it's more limited because you can't just go past it.
I'm really excited about ships that go faster, not faster. So I would be and also so one of the things about the systems is they limit the number of upgrades you can have. So right now we have 2 in hull, and we have 2 hull upgrades, which are the smuggling compartments and the cargo hold, and we have 1 in engine, and we have 1 engine upgrade, which is the jump drive. There's another engine upgrade called a cloaking device, which is super illegal, but you can't put it on your ship unless you've basically got an open slot, which would require having another dot in engines. So for no reason in particular whatsoever, just go faster, I would advocate for a dot in engines. Just say. And afterburners too.
Just because maybe.
I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense since it's like it's not really your ship, but it's kind of your ship. Like, what would Faye do?
It is as long as you can keep it.
Yeah, to this vaguely stolen ship.
This
And
vaguely-
if Faye says, "I want my ship to go fast," then I think we should do that.
Wow. Though in fiction that certainly may be true. I only want to do it if the players are in agreement. But it sounds like we like fast ship.
I think it's
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. So let's
Fast is
put that.
very
Let's put one of those in engines.
Awesome. And then you get to decide where you want to put the second one. A couple of things that I remember from our discussions earlier. One of the things that I want to point out is that by default, ships are conveyances. They're ways to go from point A to point B. So they're kind of like, I don't know, like a bus or a minivan maybe. And they're not necessarily designed with the idea that you live off of them or out of them, although particularly for the smugglers, that's oftentimes the case. So I want to point out that if you take another dot in the hull, you may be able to get crew quarters, which the ship doesn't necessarily start with.
Ooh.
So that's a thing. If you want to have a sweet room of your own, this is a thing you may want to look into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that I would get aboard your ship if I didn't have a
I was
room.
gonna say exactly.
And now the speaker speaks.
There it is.
You can have as fast a ship as you want, but I want my own room.
Yeah,
It's
I need
tatty.
some privacy.
The caveat is without crew quarters, we can still like sleep in hammocks and web ourselves and sleep in the cargo bay. But I mean, if
You
we
can
wanna-
do that. Not doing that.
I was gonna say we're gonna have to fib an awful lot to get Lars on this.
all right, let's call that
Stardancer.
hull of 3.
Awesome. So Hull of 3 has an additional benefit that may not be obvious, which is your smuggling compartments become rated for people, which means that now you can smuggle individuals, and they're not just designed to carry like
Sick.
a piece of tech or livestock or something.
See, we can just hang out in the smuggling apartments all the time. It's fun. They're rated
I
for
think-
people now.
Being a smuggled person doesn't sound appealing to me.
I'll put string lights up in one of them, and like we'll put a couple of like cushions. It'll be fine.
It'll be totally. Yeah, we can have a pillow party. We don't.
I do want to say for the future that I think Lauren would be very interested in having a quantum encryptor in the future, just like to have some secure communication coming through the ship
Yeah.
would be very nice. But
Yeah.
I don't
I-
think you would have that before I got aboard.
I did envision Faye as someone who, because I have the ability, I know a guy, as someone who like gets on the comms and kind of like chats with people and whatnot, and she has lots of
Mhm.
connections. But I'm totally happy if that's a thing that she used to do and the comm system got fried or this ship doesn't have it. We're still sort of nebulous as to where exactly the Stardancer came from. So
If it has a cloaking device, it comes from interesting places. And we're
yeah,
actually
well, we haven't given it one yet, but I think we have to do the hull upgrade to get the crew quarters. So if we want the engines, that means we don't have the comm now, but I'm totally excited about getting that later.
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
A future upgrade makes total sense.
So one of the things that I'm super happy to hear is that everyone's like, oh, we got to get this thing and we got to get this thing. 'Cause that's
Oh yeah. Oh, we need
That sounds great.
afterburners as well. Like that's another engine
Yeah.
upgrade. is The afterburners. Yeah, we need those too.
Very important. We'll fix
But-
the comm, and you won't feel so lonely.
Thank you.
awesome. So cool. So there is one more step here, which is after you decide what you'll improve, which you did, we're supposed to discuss a faction that helped you get those improvements. And so they did you a favor to get these enhancements or improvements. And the question here is, how did you respond? You can pay them off, which is give them 1 credit in exchange for services. Everyone's square, all is good. Owe them 1, promise them you'll return the favor down the line when they ask you, and you can gain +1 status with them. And stiff them. No need to pay a faction that doesn't demand payment up front. Take -1 status with that faction. So first things first, let's have a real quick chat about who it is that is the people that helped you guys get these particular enhancements to your ship. So supposedly the GM is supposed to just outright tell you, but I feel like this might be a little bit of a little bit of a discussion here.
Is there animosity between the Janus and the Cobalt inherently?
Not necessarily, no.
I think at least in the time of Faye and Boz running together, they were working. Janus was supplying guns to Cobalt because Janus is an arms dealer, and Cobalt sort of needs to be armed to deal with their problems. So I think not to say that you're necessarily always chummy with your arms dealer, but I think that that
They're
we
at least
left them.
pretending to not be overtly hostile.
Yeah, they were business associates with each other.
Okay.
So, I know at some point I want to get negative status with Janice because that's what I want to do. So,
So do you want to say that they helped you get the ship by the fact that you stole it from them?
Yeah,
and
that's sort of what I'm thinking.
You obviously didn't pay them, so they're stiffed, as it were. Is
that's. I mean, I think there's going to be other opportunities to have a faction that doesn't like us, but this seems like a great one right off the bat because it feeds right into the backstory that we've already talked about. Is that So
I can give you.
You borrowed it.
Borrowed it.
Borrowed.
I'm gonna try and draw this. Uh-oh. -oh. -1. All right, that sounds good. See if I can make this bigger. I'm gonna try and just write this on the sheet, and I'll take notes. So I just want to say thank you. Our wonderful sheets are actually designed by a gentleman named Chris McDonald, who I met via Twitter, who likes this game and was, you stay where you're supposed to. And one of the things that he is doing is he's actually going to make us faction sheets for next game, but he just didn't have enough time this time. But anyway, so
That's
if
awesome.
you see these sheets and you like them, they're available on GitHub, and they extend the work of Tim and Jakob, who actually made those awesome blade sheets that everyone sees on like Last Word and Blood Letters. So I swear this is going to work. Hey, chat, maybe you can help me. How do we on Roll20 move stuff such that it doesn't necessarily get
Snap
stuck?
to grid.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. It was option. Haha! Victory is mine, Trebek. Excellent. Cool. So, Janus Syndicate, -1. You stole the ship from them. I love it. It obviously has some illegal parts on it, which we're going to talk about here soon. Next up, so your ship still has 2 cred. Next up, we're going to select a special ability for the ship. The Stardancer is a bunch of smugglers. So the special abilities that you folks have, let me pull this up. The ones that we're going to be choosing from is the Getaway, which basically makes you folks much better at escaping in your ship or running blockades. Cargo Eye, which lets you spot some like pricey stuff whenever you gather information on a situation. Field Repairs, which lets you do kind of like patchwork repairs even like in the middle of space. Leverage, which allows you to basically get favors from people that owe you favors. So if you have positive factions, you can cash them in to like save you from heat and cops. Just Passing Through is it allows you to like reduce your heat, and also if your heat is low enough, people can't find you to mess with you. So like if you're at war with a faction, you just pass as like common civilians, and you know you can kind of stay under the radar. Home Cooking, which gives a sweet, delicious vice to everybody, where all of you basically have those scenes that we all know and love from Firefly, where everyone's around a table eating a meal together, and you might get into fights if you like overindulge or whatnot. And Problem Solvers, which is basically 1 action rating to helm, rig, or scramble, up to a max of 3 right now at the start. So, what do you folks feel like?
It seems like since we have no weapons, it would be helpful to be able to get away. And then I feel like leverage is something that I'd be interested in for my character and his interaction with that. And then the other one that I put a little dot next to is home cooking.
Yeah, home cooking seems really fun.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it does.
It's also a really powerful move. It's kind of secret hacks.
Yeah, I like it. I think Getaway makes a lot of sense. Problem Solvers is sort of ubiquitously, it's kind of boring, but it's like mechanically helpful. It gives us all an extra dot to put in one of those 3 actions. So we were rolling more dice in those areas.
I'm
It's
interested in failing a lot.
cool.
So
Then let's do that. Yeah, I think I don't know. I like the getaway too. I think it's a fun. Is that the one you were pointing out first, Tori? Is that you were saying getting away would be something you'd like to do? Okay.
yeah.
So is this a toss-up between the getaway and home cooking? Is that kind of what I hear at this juncture?
Yep.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
as a point of note,
Like-
your ship starts
like,
with a galley. That's
I
one of the
think-
things that the Stardancer comes with. So you will actually be able to just
Yeah. Somebody else wanted to take the home cooking move, like on the say the Fire Drake or the Cerberus. They'd first have to upgrade to have a galley, but we got a galley to begin with. So it's kind of a elite move there if we take home cooking, because we're like taking advantage of a move of a upgrade we already have.
Mhm.
So
Hey.
Andy, you're the tiebreaker. I say you
I'm really excited about home cooking. As much as it's
That's
to run away, like not successfully running away is also pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Oh
Home
my
cooking
God.
it is.
I'm gonna start fights with you guys. This is great.
It's going to be delicious. And
There'll be delicious
Spice.
fights.
it's going to be hot and spicy. All right. I dig it.
Ooh,
Cool.
So good. Gonna fight
so-
about what's for dinner.
If I recall, Lauren, aka Slick, is totally into some delicious foods. So
The space caviar.
that's right.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we're going to talk about upgrades. An upgrade is a valuable asset or a system module that helps the crew in some way. So things that you already have, you will obviously already have a cargo hold, and you have smuggling compartments, as we discussed previously, and you have a jump drive, which is necessary for 2 things. One of which is accessing the hyperspace lanes that let you basically cross through a system pretty quick. Because if you're traveling without a jump drive, going from like Earth to Pluto takes like months. But if you have a jump drive and you know how to access the hyperspace lanes, which are maintained by the Starshapers, you can get there like in under a week. So your ship already starts with a jump drive, and you can actually pass through the giant rings at the edges of systems that let you access other systems. You can go system to system with your jump drive. So that's already on your ship. And as I mentioned previously, your ship already starts with a galley. But those are the only things that you have. And so now is the time to talk about 2 upgrades that you can take. Some of the upgrades are, as previously mentioned, I heard crew quarters and a cloaking device might be upgrades that you can get. There's also training for the crew. There's Stardancer specific upgrades, like you could start with some false ship papers or maps to hyperspace lanes that are off the grid. Is there anything you folks are in particular hankering for or thinking about? I have a feeling we're going to just land on crew quarters and cloaking device, but I figured I'd ask.
I also like the false ship papers idea. I mean, I think I'm kind of thinking of Faye as not exactly a captain, but kind of the person who cobbled this stuff together more or less. And it seems like something she'd have.
She'd have, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Smuggler's rigging, having like concealed items on our person, is something I'd love to do at some point, but I'm not like, it's not a thing I'd push for in the beginning. But it's definitely something I think would be snazzy. Yeah, that's a good toss up between. I think false ship papers make a lot of sense too, but is it possible that we have the cloaking device and we haven't installed the crew quarters yet, and that's like contingent that we would get the crew quarters first thing? Like, we've made the space for it. We have the hull upgrades. We're ready to do it. That's where they'll be.
We're so close. We
We're
swear.
so close. But
I
these-
must be really desperate.
these hammocks. Well, I mean, I don't want to say that of the 3, I would be cool with any of those 2. Of the cloaking
Maybe
device.
this is the ongoing like point of contention is why didn't you do the thing you said you were gonna do?
Oh my god. Yeah. I think we can make that work. But like Boz has set up string lights and a hammock in the cargo hold, and I was like, this is not. I thought
You guys said you had crew quarters, and we're like, we do. The smuggling bay is equipped for moving people.
no.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Found
say
some
that,
string lights.
that we have false ship papers and the cloaking device.
Does that feel good to you, Jory?
Yeah.
You are kind of the tiebreaker here, so
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I like the drama that ensues when it's like, I thought I would have my own bed and not. Mm-mm.
All right. The other thing is that a cloaking device is super illegal and would be very hard to get. Crew quarters is something we can like install pretty legit
Yeah.
in the future.
you just have to find somebody willing to install it and not ask too many questions about. Well, actually, now that you have false ship papers, you can just be like, "Why, yes, I am Captain Darbandel. Why do you ask? This is totally ship registration X0177."
Yeah. I think that was probably a requirement for us to like be able to fly, was that this used to be a Janus ship. We stole it, we filed the serial numbers off, and we needed a new registration, and now we have it. And I think Lauren brought that registration to the table.
Yeah.
We brought the cargo hold, you brought the
Yeah,
papers.
you
Great.
did.
All right, cool. I dig it a lot. Sweet. So there's a couple of questions that come with this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna scroll back up. So from these upgrades, after you assign your 2 upgrades, we're gonna talk about 2 factions. One of them help you get an upgrade and you're on good terms with them. They like you and you get +1 status with them. At your option, you can spend a cred to repay their kindness and take +2 status with them instead, which is kind of hex. One faction screwed you over when you got an upgrade. Did you steal the part from them? Was it a specific individual's ship? Was it illegal and the hegemony now hunts you? Or them because they still think they had them or they brokered it? And then they don't like you and you get -2 status with them. At your option, you can spend 1 cred to mollify them and take -1 status instead. So who was this ship intended for? Like, you stole it from the Janus, but maybe they were supposed to hand it to somebody and those people don't like you. And who helped you like spruce it up and make it awesome?
What are the factions that we already kind of been playing with that we might that could? I mean, it could make sense that it was intended for the Cobalt Syndicate, but I don't think we want to have negative faction status with them.
No, it'd
Right.
be great if we had some plus with them
Yeah.
and that we could go back and they would help us out.
So here's one of the things that I like to do is the factions are divided into 3 major columns. There's the hegemony factions who are actually legal. So like House Conclave and the Guild of Engineer and the Church all fall under hegemony factions. There's the criminal syndicates who do things kind of shady like. And there's the weird ones who are people that are either mystical or strange or maybe work from the shadows and are a little off the beaten path. If a faction were to help you, which one of those 3 categories would you really reach out to maybe to get help from?
I feel a little like we've sort of burnt bridges on both hegemony and the criminal world, so it kind of feels like it's got to be weird by default.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I kind of think like that's, at least it's starting. We know that Janice is not happy with us, and we know that that Lauren is sort of in a bad way with the hegemony. And I don't think, as being both Baz and Faye having served time, we're not exactly upstanding citizens. So I kind of feel like we got to go weird.
What if the vigilance helped us? They're the warrior mystics that seek to enforce an ancient code of justice on those they find wanting. And like either that they thought that they felt that we were wronged and that the people who kind of messed with us were people who were found wanting. That
sounds okay. Although they do traditionally are not super, like, they don't have like a ton of money and resources to like patch up ships. They certainly have allies and friends that can be in that direction. The the groups.
Yeah, maybe one step away from them. Maybe they hooked us up with somebody that would like. Maybe they have an ally, and
Yeah, absolutely.
they kind of vouch
Sure.
for us.
It's totally doable. The faction that I was gonna toss out is they're really weird, but they're these like half-phased people who
Oh, the
interact-
ghosts?
the ghosts, but they're scientists
Yeah.
and they're very technically skilled. The other option is I don't know how you feel about having strange Urbots touch your ship, but
I really like the Urbots.
okay.
Yes, they're great. Are we talking about the Conclave?
Yes, I was going to say the Conclave
Yeah.
may have.
Oh, I'd love to be connected with the Conclave.
That.
Yeah.
I'm super interested in the Conclave.
Mhm.
Yeah, ever since you like
Yeah.
talked about it, in the pre show where we made our characters and figured out what we were all gonna do. I think we all were like, yeah, that sounds cool.
All right, so
Some mechanics.
before I think that's great, and we'll hash out a couple of really quick details about them here. But just for everybody watching who doesn't know what Conclave 01 is, I'm going to give them the update here. So the 401 on the Conclave 01 is the Guild of Engineers actually formally has the rights to every Urbot. And what is an Urbot? It is totally not a droid. They're basically robots that have precursor. So one more step back. In the universe, there was
Yeah.
an ancient race called the Precursors who created the gates and some of the jump drives and stuff like that. So if you find bougie ancient bullshit, it's the Precursors' fault, and their official name is the So the bots are basically drones that have been implanted with a precursor AI core, and so they have a modicum of sentience. A good touchstone might be something like I don't know, R2D2 or something like that. And the thing is that every year, every citizen that has Urbots is supposed to take them to the Guild of Engineers, and the Guild of Engineers gives them a checkup and like verifies that they're in working order. But part of that checkup is they wipe their memories.
Horrifying.
But a lot of people travel in space, and this is a big hassle, and they just sometimes they skip it, or like, it's working fine. Why do I need to travel to the big city to get this done, and so on. So there are plenty of Urbots that haven't been wiped in many years, and one of the things that happens is they develop personalities and strange quirks that keep repeating and stuff like that. And so the Conclave 01 actually has an Urbot who's called the Prime, who has been around and has, as far as anyone knows, has never been wiped. He is probably the only living being in the universe that still remembers times before humans were everywhere. And so he is trying to fight for the rights of Urbots, but it's not going so great because the hegemony is everywhere, and Urbots are basically viewed as these like weird little robots that do stuff. So you'll see them like serving drinks in bars and things like that. Nobody really thinks of them necessarily as people.
They're treated as objects.
Yes.
As a religious person, would I find them creepy and perhaps against God or the or would I kind of find them a little sacred?
I don't know. I'm gonna so like the Church of Stellar Flame doesn't necessarily have a specific stance. I'm going to leave that completely up to you. I know that precursor cores are generally considered safe. They don't cause any strange disturbances and stuff. So the church doesn't have special scripture that says that they're bad or
An
good.
abomination.
Yep, it's totally up to you, and I'm totally okay with you basing this on your gut or coming up with something cool that you just feel towards them. So up to you.
Yeah,
Do you have a stance?
I mean, I think that I would kind of find them a little sacred because it feels like there's a little bit of God inside of them, and so that makes allying with the Conclave very interesting to me because I'm very supportive of their thing.
Super cool. One thing, the church doesn't actually believe in a specific deity. They believe that all of us have
Right,
what's
but there's
called
like holiness.
yeah, there's a holiness. So maybe you sense something that most humans don't, which is that there is a shard of light inside Urbots. Like they have a soul, for lack of a better word. And that sounds super great to me. So can we say that the Conclave, the way they helped you is perhaps in your escapades when your ship was being chased by the Janus and maybe shot at, you potentially crash landed on some planet and you were found by the Urbots. and they actually help you patch up your ship and also install pieces that you weren't supposed to necessarily have access to, like that cloaking device. Does that sound interesting to everyone?
That
Yeah.
sounds really cool.
Great.
All right, super cool. So I'm going to make Conclave 01. Oh, so let me ask this secret hacks question. Did you wish to spend one of your 2 cred that you start with
Yes,
to get a
please.
+2 status with Conclave 01?
I'm totally down for
Oh,
that.
that'd be cool.
So
I love that we're all excited about being friends with the robots. Urbots, excuse me.
cool. So
Robots is still an okay term. You're not
just-
saying "Crud," that anything that would be,
Sure,
problematic.
sure.
so the quick just to give you 2 faces that you're familiar with. One of them is going to be called Bar Hazuk, and Bar Hazuk is this. He's a huge robot that is actually like he has replaced several of his parts with like either ship or like construction equipment parts. They look like giant and imposing, but like he was obviously like a construction bot before he was liberated by the Conclave. But he's like a gentle soul, and he keeps like a garden on this like kind of like husk of a planet. And so he and this is actually illegal. You're not allowed to make Urbots look exactly like people, but there is a little Urbot girl named Araini who's actually like in a humanoid looking shell. She's almost like an android. And she has like all the mannerisms of somebody who's like a 9-year-old. Like she's way better with technology, and she can like fix your ship parts faster than like humans can necessarily, but she's like shy and like hides behind people's legs and like occasionally leaves little like drawings for you that are terrible because she's great at mechanics and not great at art.
Awesome.
So
Me too.
yeah. They definitely have a lot more personality and like presence than most Urbots that you meet, because most Urbots will like whistle and toot at you and make little robot noises, but they're not exactly. But they're not necessarily. They don't have as much personality as these ones, which haven't been wiped in some time. So cool. I'm gonna, Justin. Do you wish to spend that cred to increase your status with them? I heard a
Yes.
Yes, I think that was an emphatic yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please that.
I'm gonna make this blue so that it's like a good color and.
We're all very excited about being friends with the Urbots.
Oh man. Mhm.
All right, and so the next question is, who did one of your upgrades that you took screw over? Like, is it somebody that you stole ship papers from, like some group that was relying on them, to, like snag them, or?
Jory, remind me who Lauren's like kind of investigative reporting fell out with. Like who would he, who from the hegemony is sort of specifically having issue with Lauren?
Yeah, I haven't chosen specifically.
Oh, okay.
On my character sheet, I marked it down with Aaron and Noble, and I don't know
Ooh.
if Aaron is a pre-existing character who has relationships with other people already, because it could be.
This sounds great.
That
So let me tell you a little bit about this.
Mhm.
The hegemony has like 7 noble with a capital N because our editor refers to it as hegemonic self-importance, which is to say that whenever the hegemony names something, they capitalize it, so like that to make it like seem more ostentatious or whatnot. But
Nice.
the hegemony has 7 major noble families that actually divide up the galaxy into sectors, and they're given stewardship. Now, as I may have mentioned, the Procyon sector is kind of the ass end of the universe. It's more of a punishment than anything else.
Loserville.
Exactly. And so the person responsible for it is the governor Ritam al-Malklaith, and Al means that he's actually in the lineage to, like, he's like a prince basically, like he can ascend to like the seat of the house. And so House Malklaith ostensibly is given the Procyon sector. So the question that I have for you is Aaron related to House Malklaith, or is Aaron related to maybe a different noble house but currently here like as an envoy, or what do you want Aaron to be?
I mean, I think that I want Aaron to be someone that perhaps I learned a secret about more in an inner sector. So I don't think that Aaron is here with us, but Aaron has enough pull and enough influence with the hegemony that that I was run out of town. And
cool.
love
I think I might have missed that. So Lauren is kind of like slumming it right now. This is like hiding out in the backwater sector.
oh yeah,
Until he can kind of make his way back into the inner rim or clear his name or get enough dirt or do whatever.
Reclaim your rightful cushy bed
yeah.
in space caviar.
Yeah, I feel like most inclined to think that I learned a rumor or a secret and I started poking into it, and I can kind of only return if I actually kind of learned the full truth and dethrone that person.
Yeah.
So maybe that person is Aaron, and perhaps Aaron is related to House Conclave. Like
That sounds great. Yeah, it could
Yeah.
actually be. It could definitely be somebody in there.
I like House Conclave as like Aaron's proxy for well, I think this Lauren figure is over in your sector. Can you
Yeah.
get rid of him for me or find him for me or that.
yeah.
All right. So
Cunning.
I'm hearing House Conclave. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, the other one that would seem like an obvious one was the Hegemonic News Network, because that's what you were part of, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that the network itself is, I mean,
Rooting for you?
Leave them
I don't know that I don't know that they're rooting for me, but they're kind of like, oh, all right, someone stepped in and now he's gone. That's fine. So
That's
I feel
fine.
like they're a little more neutral.
But you were part of the news network, right? Like that's where you come from. So I just for the viewers just kind of want to read the description real quick, so people know where Lauren came from.
Yeah.
Those who control the media control the mind. Often use this as leverage on other factions. Spies. I'm just saying anyway, so go on, never mind.
Yeah.
I like House Conclave as coming after us. I think that's great.
All right. So the quick question that I have for you fine folks is: do you want to be at -2 status with House Conclave, which is a little risky, a little dangerous because you're starting on Conclave homeworld, or do you want to spend a cred to maybe like mollify them or buy off some leads or like try and like mitigate the situation and get a -1 status instead?
I kind of want to be at -2.
Just
I'm okay with this.
I kind of want to be running from the start.
Yeah.
I think -2 on their own homeworld puts us in a nice precarious pickly situation.
there'll be lots of problems this time.
You're telling me what I'm hearing loud and clear from this room, that you want them to be involved in your problems from the get-go.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent.
Until we're sad about this decision, but that will happen much later.
Yeah.
Minutes from now.
Minutes from now.
Minutes from now. Yes, I love it. So let me find our House Conclave. I will give them a -2, and you guys still have 1 cred remaining. Right.
See, having some money in your pocket's really important.
It can be. There we go. Boom. I'm gonna make him a -2. Sweet. Oop. All right, there we go.
Nice.
All right, so let me go back to my creation sheets. We're down to your favorite contact. So on your ship, there is a list of contacts. See if the Stardancer here has them, and if not, well, we can add them. I will add them while we're on break, but I'll read them to you. All of these are your friends. They're either allies or people that you've worked with. You may have better or worse relations with some of them, but all of them are people that you can reach out to and that will help you. So your ship isn't just, and this is shared amongst the crew. So like they know all of your crew, even though they may talk to a specific person more or less. The contacts that you have are Takafa, a dockmaster, Alor, a keen-eared barkeep, Hiani, a tugboat captain, Raka, a diplomat, and Satani, a reclusive info broker. So which one of these is your best friend, like somebody that your ship works with constantly and you guys really like and likes you in return?
I got real excited about the tugboat captain because I was just excited about what tugboats look like.
Imagine they have
Space.
either grapplers or like I think there's a grappler that's a weapon that can like physically grapple, and there's also another upgrade, I forget where it was from, that can do like tractor beam kind of stuff. And I imagine one of those two ways haul boats around.
Well,
I
the
like
second one is extremely incredibly difficult to procure and also illegal.
No.
Yeah.
Prototype Starshaper thing. So the first one where you have like the giant arm that like latches on and to like your like bars and actually pushes you. And tugboats probably have giant blocky engines, so they have a lot of push and like small little like cabins and stuff.
I love
Probably,
it.
like, truckers with crappy sleeping quarters. So.
Yeah, totally miserable.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
well,
love how
just
excited
think.
you are about this.
Just think, when they tow us, they can stay in our. Oh wait, we don't have crew quarters.
Oh, no hospitality. We have really great hammocks. I don't know.
We
Everything's
have good
fine.
which we have good
Yeah,
food.
we do.
Which
Yes.
is not a. So
Nothing
maybe
to
there's some
sneeze at.
cooking that happens when
That's right.
we need to get picked up.
And I'm real. That is my just sort of a gut instinct about imagining and getting excited about something. I can also turn that enthusiasm to one of these many other lovely friends of ours.
Like it. I think it's good.
Sean, Jory, you guys have any? Is a tugboat captain cool, or do you guys have a pull towards anyone else?
I mean, Lauren is interested in a keen-eared barkeep and the reclusive info broker, but I also feel like a contact of the ship is not necessarily just a contact of Lauren's. So,
and again, these are your friends, so you already know them.
Right, they're all our
Who you're
friends.
closest with.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, if you know, as individual characters, we each have our own individual contacts, and so there's some perhaps overlap where as well you might pull it up. Lauren's friends. Yeah.
My friend that I like a lot is the doctor. His name is Carrie, because I'm not sure that any of us took doctor as a skill. So
Did
that
not.
might be helpful.
Nicely done. Thank you.
Nice.
Is
But, like-
Carrie a doctor or a mendicant?
I think Carrie is a doctor.
Excellent. Sounds great.
There's some terrible song in my head now, please. Oh no.
I'm so sorry.
You can never
doctor,
say
doctor. Ah,
you never say doctor twice in a
now
row.
now it's in my head too. I'm so sorry.
And during the break, we can all sing to each other.
Okay.
It'll be great.
Is there a person who we maybe would all know kind of prior to this? So my general feeling is that y'all have been hanging out for a while, so you know each other pretty well, and I'm newer to this situation. So is there a person who like we would bring our ship to and they'd be like, oh, you have Lauren on board, that's cool, I haven't seen him in a long time, or whatever? Like, I think that would be interesting.
I think, you know, Alar, the keen-eared barkeep, might be the kind of person who knows knows a lot of people. Yeah, or Satani, our info broker. So yeah,
I feel like maybe the barkeep as a person who like he maybe was just your bartender, but he was an informant for me too.
Oh,
Would
nice.
be interesting.
There you go. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's fun.
All right, that sounds good. We'll decide later which planet Aelor is on. But if everyone agrees, then Aelor will become your close friend. Your crew.
Awesome.
Known Aelor for a while.
Our ship buddy.
Unless you're opposed, maybe Aelor is used to be maybe a smuggler or a scummy person themselves. Is Aelor a guy, a gal, human, Xeno?
I envision Aelor
Hmm.
as a Xeno who is
Okay.
kind of seen a lot of places and has sort of settled into this little hole in the wall of the universe because it's a good place to lay low from other stuff, maybe, and has sort of
Mm.
brought a little nest egg with them, and knows a lot of people, has been around, but also maybe has a reason for not wanting to travel anymore.
Is Aelor local, like from the sector, or is he a Xeno from somewhere far away?
Local.
Awesome.
Oh,
No, doesn't have to be.
No.
no.
I'm in my mind. I'm going through a list of Xenos and trying to see if there's one in particular that we can all be excited about. Is it cool if Aelor is a Memish? They're Mem is in the Holt system. It is an oceanic planet, and the Memish are basically kind of like they have like tentacles instead of hair, and they can wear water for like rebreathing, a lot like Abe Sapien does in the Hellboy movies, if you've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
They're water breeders natively, so one of his gimmicks for his bar might be that there's like tubes with water and for like faster transport. You probably
Yeah,
have
I mean,
that bring
Oh.
your drinks and like stuff like that via those.
sure.
Yeah.
There's a fittingness to a Memish bartender, So
One of the things that is not well known is that the Memish, particularly once you go deeper into the oceans, it becomes pitch black, and there's bioluminescent plants and fish life. But they actually use sonar and echolocation, so they don't appear to have like very well developed ears, but they have incredible hearing.
Oh,
That
yeah.
keen-eared moniker that much more appropriate and quite literal. So
Delightful.
I
Love
like
it.
it.
nice. Yes.
awesome. So cool. So Aelor, the Memish barkeep. I love it. All right, cool. Sweet. And then
Levington, because it's a watering hole. But thank you.
A lot longer to say that out loud than I thought it would.
BT dubs, this may lose us all viewers and everyone may hate us forever, but I love puns. So if you make
Oh no.
Yeah,
all the puns on the show, 2 thumbs up.
That's some good stuff.
All right.
All right. So finally, let's answer the last 2 questions, then we'll be done. Maybe we can. I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm thinking about maybe taking a break after this.
Yeah. We're due up for the break in just a second, so that's
All right. Cool. So one faction. Favorite contact. One faction is also friendly with your contact. You get +1 status with them. One faction is unfriendly with the contact. You get -1 status with them. So this is the last of it.
Let's go back to the list.
So here's the fine question of who might they be hiding out from, right? There's that opportunity.
Yeah. We just sort of set them up to be on the down low.
The down low.
Strush, can you get not that I don't want this choice to be significant, because I do, but could you give me maybe a syndicate faction that isn't really strong in this sector, maybe even a really powerful one, so sort of balance that out a little bit, but a syndicate that isn't strong that Aelor might be avoiding?
I have a avoiding. I was gonna say he secretly works for a syndicate.
Oh, well,
Oh.
that's really cool too.
All right, so
Also that one.
I'm gonna pitch an idea, and we're gonna see how you folks feel about it. So there is a particular group that is powerful in the sector, but doesn't have a lot of presence on any planet because the planets are the domain of the hegemony, and they're protected by the effectively the military, which is called the Legion. And in particular, a group that is always interested in what's going on in the hegemony but doesn't have a lot of presence is the Maelstrom, who are essentially space pirates.
Yeah.
Alana the Banshee Queen, who's their pirate queen. She's awesome.
Imagine the cool clothes.
No, I don't think so. I don't think she's awesome, Josh. I think you're totally not excited about her at all.
Oh, okay. I am super excited. Come on, space pirates, right? There's
So
this
good.
like crazy nebula called the Ashtari Cloud. It's got like space whales, and your star drives don't work right inside it, and that's where the pirates hide. And they figured out how to like tinker their drives so that they could fly through it efficiently. And the Legion hasn't been able to pluck them out. and they've been a thorn in their side. They raid convoys and steal ships and do all sorts of naughty stuff, which, you know. Yep. So maybe Aelor is secretly an ex-pirate, and now is a barkeep.
I like it. Or
right?
maybe he's not even an ex. Maybe they're just an informant for the pirates. Maybe
Gently retired.
And I promise that it's not his memish nautical theme continued here.
However,
He swells.
So
Swimming with the fit. Oh wait, that's a bad thing.
so then the question is, who is he on bad terms with? Like somebody that constantly harasses him or gives him some trouble, or just maybe this is why he's on the ground and not captaining or pirating it up.
I mean, maybe the hegemony has some info on him, which would be why he was my informant. Although I guess I want him to be friendly towards me and not resentful. So
People can have good relationships with their informants.
mm-hmm.
I mean, keep in mind that a lot of what makes you a speaker is that you have a lot of people that you're still in contact with, or you had interviews with,
Right.
or you showcased the good light, or you helped out by giving them a word or making a connection or whatever. So it's not that everyone you ever worked with hates you, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
The a part of Faye's backstory that I haven't talked about streaming yet, but we sort of talked about offline, is that Faye was originally her parents or her birth parents are the members of the Yaru. And I haven't brought that in yet. I don't know why the Yaru would have issue with Aelor, except for perhaps him spilling some of their secrets or them having a particular interest in Aelor's genetic code. But if there's not anything jumping out at us, I'd kind of love to throw the Yaru in just to have a tie back to that.
it could very well be. So for those of you watching, let's talk about the Yaru briefly.
yeah.
The hegemony, they essentially make replicants, we'll go with. What they are is they force grow clones for labor and places where you don't want to necessarily put humans, and you don't necessarily want to put Urbots. So like Urbots oftentimes work in like toxic environments because robots don't care. But the Yaru actually like create these clones, and a lot of the rich will have them as like servants and whatnot, but they're kind of like off-putting and maybe a little creepy, and they're supposed to be only like they're not super sentient usually, but they're bred for different things. They have like different models and stuff like that.
They all have this like sigil on their
Yep.
forehead to mark them. So
Yeah, because they're not people. But or at least that's what the hegemony claims. But it could be that he just bans them from his establishment. And
The Yaru?
yeah, and or their clones in particular, and some rich hoity-toity person tried to come in, and he was like, "You can't come, and because your servant's not allowed, and that's just what you're doing is, you know, unconscionable and terrible, and you're a bad person, and
And you should
whoever it
pay
is powerful and rich and flex their muscles, and maybe got a Yaru on his case because what he's doing is, I don't know, technically illegal." So
I'm curious. I have an idea, and bear with me, guys, but maybe Aelor, as part of the Maelstrom, or maybe not part of the Maelstrom, who knows, kind of believes that the clones are people, similar to the way that I believe Orbots are people, and that is part of our connection, is that he's a bit of a freedom fighter for them, and the way that I am for the drones. Excuse me. And so that would definitely be a reason for the Yaru to be mad at him. Like maybe he
sure.
is like
So
stormed their bases to free the clones or things like that at different points in time.
we could say that, for example, he had like a first mate that was one, and things like that, because the clones are supposed to come with an expiration date. But he very well could have had a bunch of them that he was trying to give a life and an existence outside of, you know, the working fields too and stuff. Yeah, he could have had like a dozen on a ship or something, and ship was known to like inspire people to try and like have the clones try and become pirates, and
right.
Yeah, or just like really upset.
Well, and Faye like knows enough about her birth parents that like she's not real keen on the Yaru either. She
Oh.
she like mostly it was that like they had this rule that the scientists weren't allowed to have children, and to the point where when Faye was born, they had to give her up for adoption. And so she's like just bitter at the institution, like just because it's a crappy bureaucracy, and she's like really like they had to go a step further. They had to like hide her. They had to like not ever let anyone know this had happened. And so she's just at least that's what she's been told. She doesn't really know the very many details. So she's got a lot of kind of bitterness about like she thinks her organization is the reason why she doesn't know her birth parents. So I kind of want to not like them anyway. So I like all of that.
Mhm.
Awesome. So it sounds like -1 with the Yaru. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Mhm.
Cool. And +1 with the Maelstrom, right?
Yeah. Space pirates.
All
In
right.
their cool nebula.
This is an interesting. I have to tell you, folks. You certainly do pick an interesting spread of.
Yeah.
I want to see this relationship map really
We're-
bad.
We're good at this. I think Josh, as you're filling that the last bit out, we should because we're over an hour right now, so we should go to break. So let's do that, and we'll come back in the next hour shortly. Sound good?
Mhm.
Mhm.
All right, and 1 second. All right, see everyone soon.